The park had just received 2-star attractions and was the talk of the town once again. The other critters and creatures were of course not forgotten, but as time went on, new additions to the park still needed to be made. A lot of money had been saved up during the hiatus, and for this next dinosaur, another swamp area was created. But unlike the recently added Spinosaurus, this was a far smaller area for a far smaller dinosaur. The Baryonyx was the dinosaur that would be added to the park. The scientists had made some subtle changes to the skin and physical display to make it different from the one shown in the safari park. The Baryonyx also ate all kinds of things, including smaller land prey and nuts and berries. But mostly, it would hunt for fish, since its hook-like claws were perfect for grabbing it out of the shallow water. A pair of Baryonyx would be added. The zone they had reserved for the two would adhere nicely to their needs. More than the Spinosaurus, the Baryonyx were very dependable on a swamp-like territory. The bite of a Baryonyx was definitely painful, and its claws were vicious. But it wasn't uncommon for a larger predator to also show interest in a Baryonyx, and thus the swamp area gave them proper protection since larger predators would not venture there due to all the thick vegetation. The second Baryonyx had a color pattern more closely to the ones found at the safari park and the rest of the island. The sedation of the Baryonyx went without a hitch. Both went down before you knew it, and they were transported easily to their new home. There was some stress amongst staff as they lay in wait to see if the two dinosaurs liked their new habitat. More so than other species, they were a bit more picky on their territory. And for the first few minutes, they seemed only occupied with filling their bellies with fish, but for now, they seemed to really like the place. In a way, the Baryonyx was quite a shy type. It had to make itself quite vulnerable by getting close to an open river and focus on the fish. In that sense, it left itself wide open for an ambush by a predator. But that was of course not a possibility here. And the fact that roars and smells could be noticed by the nearby Yanktrontosaurus, or Spinosaurus, did not seem to frighten them one bit. They were very much aware of the fenced-off area, working in their favor. And so the Baryonyx fit right into the park, and the train always moved forward. This time, it was time for another special guest. It would be once again not a dinosaur. Some of the scientists had actually voted to add this creature to the park back when they added the mammoth. Heck, some even were in favor of adding them in a mixed pen together with the mammoth. But for now, they would receive their own zone, and the park welcomed their newest addition in the form of the woolly rhino. This magnificent creature seemed perfect to add to the park after how well the mammoths fit in. It also gave the imagination free way to think about what other ancient creatures they could be adding next. The woolly rhino was very unique in that it was both an animal that could be found in a herd, but also by itself. It was heavy and strong enough to where it did not fear for its life if it were to venture out alone. In a herd though, a clear alpha male was always present, and some would fight and duel each other for alpha rights. Their incredibly powerful horn would often end up leaving horrible wounds to both loser and victor alike, and to avoid this, all of the rhinos would be females in the park. They were also very territorial, and the rangers that went in to sedate them were warned to be quick and swift. We all know footage of regular rhinos attacking jeeps in Africa, let alone a giant woolly rhino with a horn that is much, much bigger and more lethal. Luckily it went all smooth once again, though the rhinos did start to stampede and one got a bit tangled up in its own fur, so it would seem. The new welcoming of the animals that weren't dinosaurs was big news once again, so all the important press was present to broadcast the transportation and deployment of the rhinos in their own pen. But when the rhinos did arrive, it did not go as well as with most of the other animals in the park. Some of the rhinos immediately started running, as if they were startled or confused on what happened. They might have felt threatened by all the commotion and the sound of helicopters still bringing in more members. They clearly noticed that they were locked in, moving around the perimeter to assess the situation. A similar occurrence happened with the concavenator when they first arrived, but luckily after a while, everything settled down once again. Raging like that certainly built up some thirst and appetite, and before you knew it, they were all side by side enjoying the fresh water and fresh food that was delivered. It was a sight to behold the rhinos in the park, and they felt very unique. It would have been fun indeed to pair them up with the mammoths, but maybe that could still happen in the future. For now, the park enjoyed its newest star attraction, and the stars had finally calmed down.